दोस्तों हमारे चैनल को जरूर सब्सक्राइब करिएगा और बेल आइकन को दबाइए ताकि जब भी हम नए वीडियोस डालें आपको नोटिफिकेशन मिल जाए।
Hi friends, in this video we are going to learn about the while loop. So while loop can be used in situations where we don't know the exact number of iterations. Here, the number of iterations actually depend on the input. For an example, let's say we get an input and we have a block of code and we want to execute this block of code until the input value divided by 2 becomes 1. So if the input is 2, the block will execute one time since 2 by 2 equals to 1. Now if the input is 8, then the block of code will execute 3 times since 8 by 2 gives 4, 4 by 2 gives 2 and 2 by 2 gives 1. So here the number of iterations depend on the value of input. So there is this undeterminism, and in such cases we cannot use for loop. Now see the syntax for while loop. While, condition, and in braces write the statements. And now about the working of while loop. The working is very simple. As long as the condition is true, these statements inside while will be executed. And the moment the condition becomes false, the control comes out of while loop. So see this example. Here we have a variable initialization and then we have the while loop where we have some statements including increment or decrement the variable. So first this initialization will be done and this condition will be checked, and suppose it is satisfied or true, the inner statements will be executed including the increment or decrement. So that is done, and now the first iteration is completed. Now it goes and check the while condition again, and let's say it is still returning a true. It will go inside again and execute the statements inside, and the second iteration is also completed. So again while condition is checked and suppose now it returns false. Now the control comes out of the while loop and execute the remaining statements. So basically while loop will execute this block inside as long as the condition is true. Now see the sample program where we get an integer number from the user and display how many times it can be divided by 2 until it becomes 1. We have the main function and we are declaring two integer variables num and count initialized to 0. Now we ask the user to enter a number and that is stored in variable num. Let's suppose it was 20, and now we have this while loop here. Remember the working of while loop, as long as the condition is true, the statements inside while will be executed. So here the condition is num greater than 1, and what is num? 20, and 20 is greater than 1. So condition is true, so we enter the while loop and we increment count. So it will become 1, and then we have num equal to num right shift 1, which is equivalent to num by 2 in C. So num becomes 10 and first iteration is completed. And after each iteration we have to check the condition. Here num equal to 10, which is greater than 1. So condition is true and we go inside and increment count. So count becomes 2, and right shift num will give the value 5 and it will be stored in num. And second iteration is also completed. Again we go and check the condition num equal to 5, which is greater than 1. So condition is true, so increment count and it becomes 3. And now num equal to num by 2, that is 2. And third iteration is also completed. Now we check the condition again and we have num equal to 2, which is greater than 1. Again the condition is true, so we increment count and count becomes 4. Now right shift num 2 by 2 equal to 1, which will be stored in num. And fourth iteration is also completed, so check the condition again. Num equal to 1, which is not greater than 1, so the condition is failed and it comes out of the while loop. And execute the next statement, which is printing the value of count, and here count equal to 4, which will be printed.